Hi everyone, this is Sousanna Pogosyan and welcome to the Basement Tapes. I really am a curious cat, so this is where we're going to explore new ideas, talk about any issues, talk about life really, and where your faith takes you, whether you have faith or you don't have faith. I hope you come here with an open mind and you enjoy this episode. Welcome back to the Basement Tapes with Sousanna Pogosyan. Today I have Emill Mehrabian, who is an artist and author of Master the Free Mind. He wrote a book about resetting your brain, control your thoughts, and unlock the power of your subconscious mind. But you didn't use your real name. You used your pen name, which goes by Gabriel O. Daniels. And what I love the most of what you have written here is you're really taking people on a transformative journey to regaining control of their mental resources. Welcome to the podcast,
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here. Happy to be back in Burbank.
Welcome back to Burbank.
Yeah.
Tell me, why did you write this book? Because there are plenty of self-help, let's unlock your mind's power, all these, it's a whole industry. And the fact that you came out with your version, where did it begin? And, what was your main motivation of why you wrote this book?
Well, it probably started when I was a kid. I was always curious about how things work. I was always hungry for more knowledge, understanding. Even when I would hold a bag of chips in my hand, I was like, how did the chip get in? How did it get packaged and all of that? I was very curious. So I had the hunger for knowledge and always try to learn more things. So one thing led to another, and I basically got into how to master myself or get the most potential out of myself to live the best life I could live. That became a mission for myself. So with that, I started getting into multiple different topics, such as the brain, how it works, how it functions, what it does, how to break habits, how to make new habits, how to make long-term goals, short-term goals. And then I got into the study of epigenetics, about how the genes that we are born with are not the ones that we have to live with. Mm-hmm. That there are processes where those certain genes can be turned on and off depending on your environment and your experience in life. Then into neuroplasticity, which is...
you have a lot over here.
It goes into neuroplasticity, the placebo effect, how you can change your health with belief, the brain waves, how to control those brain waves or change them when you meditate, when you're awake, when you are dreaming. Those are all different brainwave stages, and knowing those and how to get in and out of those by meditation or, for example, the gamma waves are when you are in a zone or when you're in a creative process and you are literally like an athlete as well. When he is in the zone, that's where the gamma waves, where you have the gamma waves. And so it goes into that. It goes into much, much more. I mean,
there's a lot out there already.
Yeah.
What makes this book different? Or what was it? What was the process like when you were sitting there and you told me that you didn't tell anyone that you were writing this book, that it took you months and months to sit there and get in the zone of writing this under a totally different name, and you released it like without telling anyone as well?
Yeah, I started writing it in January of 2023. I published it May 2023, so about 5 months. Why I wrote it is
what makes it so different than what's out there?
Yeah, I read a lot of books about mindset, about how to have a successful mindset, or how to master through your mind, master your life, and trying to gain control of your life. But most of the books I read were they were limited to the mind, and there was a lot of practices, and that's where it basically would end. It was the mind and practice, but that wasn't enough for me. I wanted to understand the processes behind it. I wanted to understand what happens, how change happens, physically and non-physically. And those things were missing in those books for me. So throughout my journey of learning all these topics and trying to better myself in this world through knowledge, through wisdom, I kind of thought to myself it would be a good time to put everything that I have learned that made me the person that I am, that that my life that I've been gone through. I lived in multiple different countries. I had to adapt myself every single time. I moved to the US, I couldn't speak the language. I learned the language. Then I had to move back to Germany. I lived in Spain. I lived in Armenia. So I'm always faced with, I was always faced with challenges that I had to overcome. So by learning all these things, it was becoming easier for me to keep adjusting myself to these challenges and overcoming these. So it was important for me to put the whole picture of not just the mind, like I said in the beginning, but also the consciousness part, the subconscious part, the part that we can't really
tap into,
measure, or is not very known or is not taught in schools, but has a great impact in mastering the mind.
Was there a specific incident that happened in your life where you were influenced to dive deeper of what your subconscious mind is, and you know how meditation affects you? Like the way that I look at it is prayer is meditation, right? Like when they state like, oh, the universe, I'm like, well, that's God. But people want to label it or name it different things. And eventually I think when you are digging through all of this material, and when you start digging through, there's something that's pulling you towards it. And what was it for you? Was there a specific event that happened or a feeling that you were trying to overcome that got to you to this point?
It was I can't say that it was one single thing that happened and I got into this. It was little by little. When I moved back from the States in 2010 back to Germany, I was faced with my high school diploma not being able to be transcribed because certain things were missing. And then they were telling me, in order for you to have the high school diploma in Germany, which was called Abitur, you have to do another year. And for me, that did not make any sense to waste one more year just to learn the same things for a piece of paper. So I decided to not do that, move to Spain, lived a year in Spain, came back, studied film, something that I love. And through film, I created my own production company in Germany. And then with my brother Karan and a business partner Ramin, we created a music label. And us three, we had a very close bond, and it was business partnership, it was friendship, it was also coaching, and that's where we really got into topics such as lucid dreaming, for example, astral projection. Everything I cover in this book, we've slowly, year by year, would talk about it, debate it, research it, and just to better ourselves as a team, but also as individuals. So our company at that time, the label was called Babylon World, and we named it that way because of the history in Babylon, specifically the history with King Cyrus, the one who created the first human rights on the Cyrus cylinder. And that was for us kind of the way we wanted to do business. We wanted to treat people fairly based on human rights, give the person the right, because we would always meet artists and producers that were literally exploited by the industry. Would take them in, and they had so much talent, but they were just broken down. So we would build them back up, bring them back to how they used to be, and then they started making amazing products again, amazing hits again, nice productions. And through that, we moved our way up. our artist got into spinning records, one of the biggest records for house music in the world. One of our artists did a song with Tiesto, and I had the opportunity to do the music video for that.
That's so cool.
And that way it kept growing, and through all of these challenges we were facing, it wasn't an easy ride, but there was things we were learning, and then in order to understand that fully, we would research it. And I think a lot of those pieces are all reflected back into this book, which helped me to get to my fullest potential. Which, I mean, it's a journey.
It's a never-ending journey.
But then it will keep continuing. Eventually, we got to do the German Boxing Awards in Germany. I did creative, directed it. Vladimir Klitschko and stuff, boxing legends would come. So what we did seemed to work with mastering mind.
How did did those experiences, through each one of those, were you unlocking the potential in you that you didn't recognize before?
Definitely. I was becoming a new person every single month. I was a whole new person. I was being thrown into projects that I'd never done before. Creatively directing a whole award show was insane without prior experience, but I knew how the outcome had to look. That's why that was always my guiding point. I knew how it was supposed to look, and that's what I worked on. And we had a great team. Everybody encouraged each other. Everybody pushed each other. And at the end, we made it happen. It was incredible. Everybody had a great time. Everything worked. Even though 15 minutes before the event, the complete visual got lost.
Production, right? You just never know what's going to happen.
I know. And then, it was amazing.
So throughout, you're learning all of these mental resources, right? You're being guided towards meditation / prayer. If I could ask you a personal question, like, who do you pray to?
God. It's in simple terms, but if I had to define what God is, I mean, in my mind, it is so clear to me, but to put it into the right words is complicated. But for me, God is the ultimate and foundational source of existence, present in every corner of every dimension. From the vast multi and universes down to the atom and the strands of our DNA, the alpha, the omega, the beginning, the end, the past, the present, the future, the frequency, energy, vibration, within, without, above, below. It is all of that combined equals God for me. All of that separate is in God's image. I think that is a fair explanation or definition for me, but it can always change. I always grow, I always learn more things, I always experience more things. So it might be different in 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, or the day I pass, it will be completely different, I'm sure, when the consciousness and the soul leaves the body.
As an artist and as an author, do you feel like you were guided to write this book? And is that why, like, can you go a little bit deeper of why you chose Gabriel O. Daniels as your pen name?
Yeah.
Just to put it together?
Guided, I'm sure. I don't know if I can say consciously I was guided, but I feel like I have been guided throughout my life. Why I chose the pen name Gabriel O. Daniels is it's an acronym for God, G-O-D, and it's a tribute to God. My artist name is Emiliano Deificus, and if you look up Deificus in Latin, it means made by God. So I was created to create. I was created by the Creator to create. So these are my creations: a book, art, film, anything, art. Yeah. So I have worked with IKEA in the past. That's where I use my artist name Emiliano Deificus for my artworks. And
for someone who is trying to be an artist or is dreaming to constantly create, yet they feel that they're blocked, right? They're blocked in their mental state, or they're constrained financially, where not where they're not able to have the time to create. Have you been in that position yourself, and if you have, like, what's your advice to those that want to break those blocks and to step into their creativity?
Yeah, I mean, one part of it is to be financially stable, to do whatever you want to do, to follow your passions. And then the other part is living your passions. I mean, you kind of have to balance those two. I don't think you can break off one and just live off your passion if you don't even have a roof above your head, you know. But I've definitely been in those positions where I've been working full time as a creative director, and in the evenings and on the weekends I did what I loved. So you kind of have to find a balance that works for you, where you have the financial income but can also live out your passion and afford your passions, whatever it might be. If you're a video producer, you need the equipment for it. It's not cheap, but that shouldn't discourage you. You can start with just an iPhone. Everybody has a phone. The creative process does not need a price tag. It does not cost. It is what you reflect into that little screen, is what you create. So in order to create something, all you need is yourself. You have to be authentic to yourself. You have to understand who you are and what you want to create. And I think that is more important than anything.
And for someone who is, you know, if they're going to be reading your book, right, and they want to unblock that creativity, or they have creative block, right, whether that's for like writing, or doesn't even have to be like an artistic expression. It could be anything that they find to be creative. What inside your book provides them resource to guide them to like unblock that?
Good question. This book doesn't specifically, I would say, unblock things. It just makes you realize things about yourself that help you then yourself to help to unblock things yourself, basically. I would say that would be
because I started reading it and I noticed it's it's more like educational.
Yeah,
right. It's like facts where you forget that your brain is set up in a certain way. It's a reminder of how you're already created as like a function, and learning that all those functions are connected spiritually, mentally, physically.
Exactly.
You know, there's people that work themselves to the bone and then physically fall ill, and they wonder why. It's taking care of like all your systems together.
Yeah. I mean, the beginning is a bit scientific with the brain. I just want to put that part out there so people do understand what each part of the brain does. And I wrote it in a easy to understand way with metaphors. So it's not like a textbook complicated.
No. But there's a lot of like facts in here that
definitely, yeah. There's a lot of
learned, and if you took like biology or chemistry, that you at the moment when you learn it, you're like, wow, like that's actually happening in my body and how important it is, and then you forget about it.
That's true. So yeah, there's practices where depending where the stage you are at life, everybody needs different inspirations and encouragements, and everybody has to answer different questions in themselves. So what this book does, it basically helps you to structure your thoughts, to plan goals, short-term, long-term. All of that is covered in the first 2 chapters, but then it goes deeper into understanding the person that you are, that all the aspects of you that makes you, which is not just a physical part, but also your past. I cover generational karma in there, about how our past or our ancestors influence us now. And I put an example about the Armenian people, us, how we, through all these years, through resilience, had to be so adaptive, and how that has that has caused us to create a community and always be supportive of each other, so we always survive, because we are one of the most ancient races that are still alive today.
Yeah, one of the oldest civilizations.
Exactly. So
they say we're Noah's, descendants.
Yeah, I know.
As Noah's Ark landed in Ararat.
Exactly. Do you know, you're familiar with the story of Haik and Bel?
No.
Well, Haik and Bel, also known as Nimrod or Baal, those are interchangeable for Bel. He was the ruler of Babylon at that time, and Haik and his tribe didn't want to be under his rule. They wanted to be independent. So Baal went with his soldiers and tried to attack Haik. And the famous story, Haik with one of his arrows just shot him.
Oh yeah, it's like
Killed him.
Haik for Heroes has that as their logo.
Exactly. Shout out to Haik for Heroes. I mean, they're doing great things. So yeah, we separated from Bel. That's where we created Hayastan from Haik, Haik in the Armenian highlands. And it seems like Baal is coming back into our lives to trying to take us back with all of these things happening at the moment. And even if you look at Balenciaga, which
I haven't looked deep inside and into that name.
Which means Baal is God, I think it translates to. And they have their most famous Armenian as an ambassador. So when you think of that side of things,
there's little like Easter eggs around you that people are not recognizing.
I mean, it might be coincidence, but it is.
If you were to publish a second version or a second volume of this book, what, after writing this and, living it, what would you say is the most important aspect that individuals should be focusing on first before, because I feel like a lot of people right now are in this trend of like healing their childhood traumas, which our parents didn't absolutely, I don't know if they ever discussed or even were aware, because this is a lot of awareness, right?
Exactly, yeah. Mirror. It's a mirror.
Yeah, it's a lot of mirror, a lot of awareness. So if you were to write a second volume, what would that subject be, knowing that we're in this area or this I don't even want to say trend, but our generation is very aware of kind of what has happened, like you said, like your genetic trauma, your subconscious mind, there's things there that you are not, aware of. What would that subject be for you?
Second volume, digging deeper into one subject. Probably just helping people understand themselves and their just help people be authentic to themselves, be true to themselves. I think I would concentrate more on that. And I've recently done a class on human design. Have you heard about human design?
I've heard of human design.
Yeah, based on your birth date, location, and time. Certain the planets have certain
as far as
energetic effects on you, and that basically creates a blueprint for your life.
But that I think when it comes down to, I thought human design was as far as like apps and
digital.
I was going off of like technology, like
AI.
Human design. But when it comes down to like charting and all of that, I know it's a whole, like there's like a science behind it, but with faith, with maybe my religious perspective, I look at that and I think of God is so much like greater than that chart, that because I feel like it limits the person to, I was born on this day with this moon being in this position and it's affected me in that way. It's like, don't you find that it's just like another way of placing excuses in that person's life, of like giving them an excuse of why they are a certain way versus resorting to asking for assistance and guidance from God, and in my version is like Christianity, from Christ?
I would say...
I know it went like way like off.
No, I mean, it's fine. I would say it could be used as a tool, because it is, like I said, for me, God exists in everything. So that is just an expression of God. And like I said, depending on the time you were born, there are certain planets that have influence on you, and that basically creates a blueprint for your life of how you are and what things serve you. For example, some people need to be close to the ocean to be charged. Some people need to live on the mountains to live there to the fullest potential. And I believe the human design gives you those information based on the time that you were born. I've done it with Michelle Chatham. She's like a coach on human design. She analyzed my blueprint, and the thing that was like an aha moment for me is I could look back to my past and realize why certain things were happening and why certain things were not happening. Okay. And that helped me, like I said, as a tool. For example, one part of it is that I always create things and I'm burning down again, and then create new things and burning down again, create new things, burning down again. In my eyes, I saw that as a bad thing, because I was like, okay, I can't finish anything. But through the blueprint, you see that you are done with that project. You need something else. You need a new experience. And that explains a lot why I started a lot of new things, why I lived in a lot of different countries. So that is just one little example of just realizing how that can affect you and how you can use that as a tool to continue your life. Yeah,
it's like it's your human experience what recharges you, right? Like exactly. I love the desert. Like I love being in the desert, and I also love like island life. To me, those two places recharge my soul, right? Versus being in the snow or in the rain. And there's people that love the rain and they love the snow and they love the mountains, right? So that, but do you need that chart to tell you that, or you're just intuitively,
it helps.
You know that?
I mean, do you? Some things just help when it's made clear. Sometimes you wonder, is it like this? Am I on the right path? Is this the right thing for me? But with tools like that, I mean, that's just one tool. But there's stuff like, I don't know if you've heard face reading. Have you heard about face reading?
I have.
What, like
kind of like if the person's nose is shaped in a certain way, it is a reflection of certain attributes of their character.
Exactly, yeah. Like, and if you change those attributes, your face starts changing a bit. That's another way that a face reader could analyze you, and you could use that knowledge as tool to live your life as to the fullest potential. Yeah.
Well, I think there's like a connection between like plastic surgery and then how you perceive things afterwards, after a procedure.
Exactly. Everything is connected in that way. And face reading, I've done I was at a convention and there was a face reading booth, and I went up to him and I was like very skeptical. I was like, face reading? What is this? This was like 15 years ago or something like that. And he was like, okay, let me do a quick read, 10 minutes. He literally analyzed my life in 10 minutes. Everything to what kind of person I am, how my personality is.
That didn't freak you out?
I mean, after that, he explained it to me and I understood. And I had my mind opened up way more. I had more of an understanding of that subject. But I mean, there's so many. I mean, there's aura readings, photography. There's tarot cards. There is all kinds of stuff where.
But I feel like some of those things you have to be careful with.
Of course, yeah, you have
to be so careful with and not even go near it, because I'm gonna sound very conservative right now.
That's okay.
But it's very much. I think I'm such a firm believer of you need to be very, very, very careful of who you believe is your source and believe is where that source is coming from. And if it's not Christ, or if it's not coming from God, then I don't want it, because I don't know what it could bring to my life, right? I don't know Like you're almost having doubt that what he's told you or what has been written. Does that make sense? And it depends on the person's faith and the way that they view their spirituality, religion, and all of that. That's why I'm always open to listening to those things.
Yeah.
I'm always like, okay, well, what does that look like? Okay, cool. I guess that kind of could make sense, but it's something that you like constantly like need when you go into it, and you need constant confirmation. And that's where I think there's like this loophole of like, okay, you could go down that path, but where is it going to actually lead you?
All of these things I've mentioned, I've done once, and in that time, it helped me in certain aspects. Even the tarot card, it was a friend of a friend, so I was fine with that person doing it, and even then, that person analyzed me to the T, and I believe in this whole existence. That's just one little part that you can experience if you like. We're all here to experience as much as we can before we exit and go.
Before we're like, adios.
Late. Go to the next
See you later.
Yeah.
See you later when I see you. Well, is there, now that you're married and you have kids, and you've seen the way that you've been raised, and obviously you and your wife have possibly shared many similar experiences of your upbringing. Have you guys decided, knowing that you're like an author of a book of, tapping your mental resources, have you and your wife discussed, aspects of raising your kids in a different manner than you guys have been raised, or what our parents were like used to? What is it? Is there anything new that you guys want to implement that is just very different from the community, from the Armenian community, or where you were raised?
My parents were born and raised in Iran. They fled. There was war in Iran. They fled. They went to Germany. Then I was born. Obviously, the cards they were dealt were completely different than ours.
Yeah.
They tried their best for us to just survive and then have a great life, which, they did it perfectly. They raised us with an open mind, and I'm eternally grateful for that. But as humans, we always like to grow. We always like to optimize things. And there's obviously things in the past that were done a certain way that we would like to correct with our children. Break certain patterns, yeah. Well said. Break certain patterns. So when I had my son in 2021, you feel so many crazy emotions. You start realizing
ultimate creation.
Yeah, you start realizing how your parents felt when you were born. So it puts things into perspective. And my wife and I, she's amazing in researching everything. She has a master's in Oriental medicine and acupuncture. She is amazing in researching every aspect to make the right decisions, because I believe the greatest challenge in raising a kid is having to make the right decisions on certain things that you can never ever change again. Whether it is your birth journey, hospital, birthing center, or home birth, or it is whether you decide to circumcise your child, whether it is if you want to vaccinate your child, whether it is you just want to allow them to watch TV as much as you want. All of those have certain effects for the rest of their lives. And that, I must say, props to my wife for researching all of that, always trying to make the right decisions based on the developing brain of the children to give them the highest potential in the future. And I must say, if you don't give your child screen time, they are so much more patient.
Their attention span.
Their attention span is so much longer, and things like that. It definitely. Like I say, you always want to. In my belief or in my opinion, I would rather sacrifice my comfort for my child to have a better shot at life, have a better brain development and just potential.
So when are you going to make your kids read your book? At what age?
I mean, whenever they want.
Are you already exposing them to some of the, of what you have written?
I mean, they're almost 3 and 8 months, so I just
They're
let
too
them.
young.
I just let them be children, and I play with them. I mean, I miss them already. Being away from them for an hour, they're amazing. I love them. I just want to.
You want to be able to provide the best for them.
Yeah, and be a child around them as well, and just have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there just realizing, what's another massive realization that you think people come across when they do have children? And how is that connected to, your mind and the mental resources and how's that? How have you found a connection between the two?
I mean, the second you have a child, your whole life changes. Everything changes. You are responsible for the human being that you need to
be with. The priority is them. That's it.
24/7. You have to make sure that they don't accidentally choke on something and put something in their mouth and choke on something. As simple as that, to making sure they're fed, making sure they're well, understanding as a baby their cries. The hunger cry is different. The I'm tired cry is different. The pain cry is different. You have to become a different person to raise a child. Some people decide to not change, and then they let other people raise their children, such as daycare or grandparents,
the television set,
the iPad, the iPhone, and I think that will have consequences for their life as well. And
what else do you want to share with the audience as far as your book goes, and what is it why should someone buy this book?
I mean, if these topics have caught your interest, I will definitely suggest you to read this book. It will definitely help you understand yourself better. It will definitely help you understand where you are coming from, where you are right now, and where you could go and reach your fullest potential in your life. And I think that's the most important, right? For me, I mean, some people are comfortable where they are. Maybe this book is not for them, but this is for people that have kind of peeled away from the ideologies that were raised off and have this free mind and don't know where to go now. I think this is a great book to structure their thoughts and create a future that they want to live.
To continue creating of what I find, if there's a yearning in your heart and you're craving to create whatever that is, whether that's a new opportunity for you or changing your environment, or it could be anything, right? There's it's coming from a divine source, and maybe this is a tool to kind of tap into more of your biological, chemistry, emotional,
growth
sides. Growth and sides to you. I'll have the link to the book in the where you could purchase this on Amazon, right? Where else can we purchase this? Is it just on Amazon?
Right now, just on Amazon. Working right now on getting it into Barnes & Nobles and all kinds of other online publishers.
Nice.
But right now, on Amazon.
And where can they find this on social media? Is there an Instagram page for them?
My account, Emill369, Emill.369. And I also have the audiobook on audible.com. Nice. So if you don't like to read,
I'll put the links in the bio. Any last words? I mean, thank you so much for coming and talking about Master the Free Mind and more about your perspective. And I think you have a very interesting background where it sounds like you've lived multiple lives.
It feels like that.
You've had to redo life a few times in a few different countries, which is not easy.
Yeah.
So any final words?
Yeah. I don't know. I think we talked about everything.
Yeah, you're
already,
I'm done.
I mean, take power in your own hands. Start investing in your passion. Start investing in yourself. Put yourself first, and believe in yourself that you could do anything. There's free tools everywhere to make yourself better and to keep working on yourself to live your life to the highest potential,
to the fullest potential that you were created to live.
Exactly. You deserve it. If you work on it, you deserve it. And as long as you keep going, you'll reach wherever you need to go.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you
Smash
next
the
time.
like button.